I hope you're sitting down because I'm going to say something you've never heard on the internet before. I think The Marvels is going to bomb harder than the Enola Gay.
That is brand new information!
Crazy, I know, but this video is not an opinion piece about why the movie's gonna suck like a collapsing star. No, we're taking a deep dive today into the many factors working against this movie that will almost certainly cause it to fail both critically and commercially. Part 2 is gonna deal with the drama and the politics behind the scenes, but today we're looking at why people are not going to go to the theaters to see this movie's plot or characters. Let's start with what brings an audience into the theater, mostly actors and characters. This movie's got 3 main characters, which should triple its chances of resonating with someone, enticing them to buy a ticket and come in and see where the story goes, but not one of them is going to do it. 2 of these leads are characters that most people have only heard about in passing. Disney seems to be banking on people having completed their Disney Plus TV homework to understand who these characters are, or they're going to have to include heavy exposition to tell us why we should give a damn about them. Homework's a bad move on Disney's part, but essential for game night. Have you ever tried to explain the rules to Catan or Villainous to somebody? Is it Catan or Catan? Point is, don't come to my house unless you've watched a YouTube video and you know the rules first. I wouldn't put the info dump past them. As we talked about in a previous video, many talentless writers are relying on monologues at the beginning of their projects to inform the audience. It gives us the information, but it leaves out why we should care. That exposition is also going to take up valuable screen time that needs to be used for, little things like introducing a villain, conflict, growing character arcs.
I think you're overthinking it.
I think you're underthinking it.
This might be shaping up to rival Age of Ultron in terms of breakneck pacing and speed-running character screen time. So when's the last time you heard somebody talking about Monica Rambeau? Just a quick refresher if you need it, I know I did. If you ask someone that question, you usually also have to prompt them with, hey, remember the black gal from WandaVision? Remember right at the end, she got the blue-colored plot powers, which were different from Wanda's red-colored plot powers? Because they're blue. Oh, right, that character relies on you having Disney Plus and watching the show all the way through and paying attention to a side character. I did the math. She had 32 minutes of screen time across 9 episodes, which is honestly more than it felt like. Now, Rambeau's got the beginnings of a good character. She's got the foundation of good motive and hopes and fears to one day frame a story upon, but we don't have it yet. So the audience is not going to show up to the movie for a character they don't even know yet. I've used this one before, but whatever. Hey, Athena, who's going to go see The Marvels just to see Monica Rambeau?
Nobody, baby.
She gets it. Next up, we've got Captain Marvel, who is generally disliked, as is the actress who plays her, Brie Larson, and even she knows it.
You play Captain Marvel for?
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
Don't be so modest.
I don't know. I really don't know.
People who try to defend her movie point to its amazing box office receipts, which were over $1 billion, which is extremely impressive for any film. One caveat to point out, however, is that she was tossed in right before Endgame, at the absolute height of the Infinity Saga hype cycle, and we were all led to believe that she was going to be key to defeating Thanos. Basically, everybody was invested in seeing that saga to the end, and so they packed the theaters to see this final origin story right before the big boss fight.
You fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
The money rolled in, but so did the negative reviews. She and her character were extremely bland and predictable. Marvel also dropped any pretense of neutrality in the social justice arena, having heavy girl boss messaging that, shockingly, didn't resonate with a lot of the male audience, and much of the female. That fight scene being set to No Doubt's Just a Girl, very subtle. They're already pandering! They can't pander any harder! They tried it again the next month with that scene in Endgame that had even female audiences rolling their eyes. I have no doubt they will do it again in a hero movie with 3 female mains. Captain Marvel is the most known but least liked of all of these characters. She's definitely not going to draw an audience in. If anything, she might be a repellent. Ms. Marvel is the only character that could draw a crowd, but nobody seems to care about her for some reason. The teenager figuring out their powers thing is a really easy character to get behind, just like Peter Parker. I didn't watch it, but the relatively few people that did said she was a very likable character with a very good arc. Trouble is, nobody saw it. Maybe it was just bad timing. Maybe people were having Marvel show fatigue. Whatever it was, her initial view numbers were half of the next highest show. I did an extremely scientific poll of my family, and everybody enjoyed the show, but they're not dying to see more of this character. General consensus was the show could have stood on its own, could have been a one and done thing. Would they watch a second season? Sure, but they wouldn't be glued to the TV on premiere day. It's like one of those I'll get around to it kind of things, you know? She definitely is not a draw to the Marvels simply because she's not on anyone's radar. Only a small fraction of the audience is going to show up just to see where the overall MCU is going. Currently, the MCU is plot driven, not character driven. They're trying to sell the multiverse and the Kang War and this big picture idea. Sort of. It's still not super clear. Thing is, they've lost the characters in pursuit of that grand design. So the characters don't matter, just the phase plot. The characters are becoming interchangeable and their motives aren't even their own.
Now I'm the bad guy.
Their actions are only in service to that plot and, you know, whatever message the director or the producer want to send.
You've got to do better, Senator.
But we go to the movie to see people, not plots, and as the characters are becoming sandwich boards, the audience is just finding something else to do with their time. So you got three main characters that nobody really knows or cares about, but Marvel expects us to care, and it's gonna feel so forced. Kevin Feige was quoted as saying, seeing all three of these characters on screen at the same time is chilling, and is on par with the first time we saw all the Avengers together on screen.
Oh, are we playing a game where everyone says something stupid?
Come on, Kev, you can't be serious. That moment was the culmination of literal years of work. You had multiple full-length movies, a clearly laid out plan that had the audience excited for that exact moment to finally happen. I'm very certain that moment can never be replicated by anyone. It was literally a game changer. I know it's his job to hype his own brand, but seriously?
Come on, man.
No one cares enough about these characters or this team to give a damn about them being together on screen. These women have never even been in the same room, but now we're supposed to root for them to team up? Why? Just because it's a diverse female team? His attitude tells me they just don't get it, and we, the audience, are expected to just lap it up. But that brings up another point that the Avengers actually had a direction. Even early on, we had a clear vision of these Infinity Stones. The main villain of Avengers had already been introduced in Thor. Each character already had a very solid arc that was then furthered in that movie. Oh my god, it finally happened. I have never spilled my drink while gesturing. Son of a bitch. In the cup today is Tazo Purple Passion Tea, because I've already had enough caffeine. Back then, everything made sense and everything fit together. Now, fast forward a decade, and the Marvel of today is completely rudderless. We might be forming a team in this movie, but why does it even matter? There are plenty of teams at this point. The MCU has expanded to encompass the universe. Some of these characters have godlike powers. You got the Eternals floating around somewhere.
I apologize, I forgot you were there.
Kang might be the villain here, I don't know, but he died to Ant-Man, so if it is Kang, it'll be a different Kang. Time travel and multiverses exist, so the stakes of everything basically zero. It's all just a meandering mess. They tried a lot of things in Phase 4, and most of it failed, but now they've got these threads all over the place, and they're trying to bullshit us with this idea that they're making one cohesive cloth. If Disney Plus were a much larger platform, and they had a real plan, the idea of these little supplemental projects in addition to the major cinematic universe is honestly a really cool idea. They could use TV to tell these smaller stories like Moon Knight, which seems to be largely inconsequential to the overall Phase story, and they could save that big story and those popular characters for the theater. The issue with what they're doing now, besides just not having a general plan, is that they're putting things in the shows that are key to understanding the movies. Now it's not a fun supplement. It's homework. Disney is giving you assigned reading so you understand the lecture in the theater. Guys, what do we think about extra work? Work sucks! I know! Now, there is certainly a segment of the audience who would go for this. They will consume every piece of Marvel content to understand the overall narrative and how it all fits together, even though it really doesn't. But that group is far too small to justify $300 million movies, which is likely what the Marvels is going to cost, if not more. We don't know the price tag yet, but the trend has been $250 million for the last several movies. I would expect the Marvels to be even higher, possibly that 300 or more, because it has so much extra expense, like 2 rounds of reshoots now. Those reshoots are also going to involve extra CGI. The CGI budget is going to be enormous because all of the characters' powers rely on CGI. We also have reports that the Marvels is doing very poorly in front of test audiences, and so they're tweaking plot points and changing the ending. The point here is that the bills are racking up. All of this fixing is not cheap, and when the final tally is over 300 million, I will not be surprised. We've all heard this rule of thumb that a movie needs like twice production cost to break even, so the Marvels might need over $600 million just to keep from losing money. It's very telling that they keep pushing this movie back when they were hyping it before. Some people are theorizing they want to push the loss into the next fiscal year. What was supposed to be a fresh start with a strong direction for the franchise is now likely just going to join the muddy mess. Well, look, if Marvel's going to keep putting out lemons, I'm going to make commentary lemonade. In part 2, we're going to talk about the politics and the drama going on behind the scenes and how that's going to affect attendance for the movie. Let me know what your speculation is for this movie. Well, you think it's going to do great? You think it's going to bomb? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.